What's the truth about Football Manager 26? Is it the worst game that Sports Interactive have ever made, or is it one of the most promising games in Football Manager history? Well, spoiler alert, it's probably just somewhere in the middle. This video here on the Tacticali channel, we're going to go through what the truth about Football Manager really is. What are the good things? What are the bad things? What are the things that need improving? Where should the attention be for the next update, for the next bug fix, for all of those sorts of things? What should happen? What should the future of Football Manager 26 look like? If we're honest, you're probably going to disagree with quite a lot of the elements in this video. You're probably going to agree with some of them as well, but I think this is, on paper, what I think about Football Manager this year, and I think there's only one place to get started, and that's the UI. Now, as you can see here, I've got my Newcastle United save up. We'll go through that in the next episode, but we're just getting it up for the sake of demonstration. As you can see here, the new portal screen. I think in general, it's not bad. I can see why people think, there is improvements to make, and it is a bit clunky, and it isn't necessarily the best. But that transition, I mean, how many times have you done that where you've gone just by clicking on that and it opens up the message thing straight away? That I like. I'm still getting used to all these drop down menus. I think that's different, but I think it's a different way of making your way around the game, like clicking recruitment, seeing all of this come up, and then knowing that you need to go into your player database, or then knowing that you need to go into your contracts. That I approve of. It can be a bit buggy. Like, I have a Logitech mouse where you can click a button to go back on the side. It doesn't do it for the pop-out screens, but then for this one, it does, because it's a full screen. That sort of thing is a bit clunky, and I would like to see changed. But I don't think it's the end of the world. That's just a quality of life kind of thing, and I don't think it's the end of the world. All of this is still quite friendly, and you've got to remember, when Sports Interactive are kind of selling this game, it's not just to the hardcore fan base, is it? It's to new people, to try and expand the series, to try and get new people to come into the series, to download the game, whether that's on console, on the computer, on PC, or whatever. People, they're trying to expand the game, not just to new people. So I think for someone who's new to the game, who's just getting into Football Manager, the UI is friendlier. I think that's probably a better way of putting it. I think there are changes, and I think that's been well documented, that need to be made, changes that need to be made. But I don't think it's as bad as everyone's saying. There are elements of it that are quite clunky. Clicking through it all, I'd like to see, if instead of, if you right click on it, then the drop down menu comes up instead of having to try and find a small little cursor. I think that can be improved. There are shortcuts. I'd rather them not be pop-outs. I'd rather it just take you to the page, that sort of thing. But I don't think it's terrible. I think they've got a good. Again, it's a good base to be improved. And yeah, that's my thoughts on the UI. I don't think it's as bad as everyone's making it out to be. But again, I acknowledge probably changes that need to be made. Let's then have a look at the tactics. Now, this is the biggest, in my opinion, the biggest change for Football Manager this year, and it's one that I'm still getting used to. I think it's very easy to go into a game, or go into this year's game, and keep tinkering with it. I did that in my personal save with Lincoln City, the one that we've done, just so I can get used to the game, and it has gone badly. And when you keep tinkering with things, doesn't always work. You've got to play it out, get used to it, kind of in a longer sense. Take your time with it, change things here and there, not wholesale changes. I have gone with a custom gegenpress, as you can see here. That's in possession, out of possession. There's both of them, and the combined view, which I think is the one that I tend to use a lot. I mean, it helps with Newcastle that I've got good players, but this, and I'm doing much better in this save than I am in my personal one. I quite like the tactics. I think it's so much more realistic when you looked at how FM24 did its tactics with, the different versions of the wingback role, the defensive wingback, attacking wingback, inverted wingback. It made sense, but this is much more true to real life. And we're talking about Football Manager here, a game that isn't your FIFA, it isn't or EA, it isn't EAFC or any of those sorts of games where it's a little bit of make-believe. This is trying to replicate as true to real life what it's like to be a football manager. You see that with the recruitment, you see that with everything. And this is what it's like to be a football manager. When you hear football managers speak, when you hear this, that and the other, they speak like this. This is the language they terms, we have a tracking wide midfielder. They speak like that, and that's the sort of things that they use. Okay, the team instruction shape, I don't particularly like this. I often find myself lost in it a little bit. That might just be me, and again, I'll admit, I'm not the world's biggest tactician. I don't know tactics off the top of my head, but I can see where they're going with this. And again, I think it's frustrating, isn't it? Because I think this will be the overriding theme. The frustrating thing with FM26, is that it feels like a big stepping stone, but not necessarily a full polished game. And we're not going to get that in this cycle until probably around about 28, dare I say. We're not going to get that polished feel until FM 28 or so. You saw with FM 2019 how when they went to this 3D graphics, how long did it take them to have a good game? 23, 24 was quite good, but how long did it take them to get to that point? We're on that journey now, so again, it's frustrating, but we're on that journey, and I wouldn't get too hung up about it. So overall, what do I think of this year's game? Should you go out and buy it, I suppose, is the big question in time for the full release in a week's time. If you want the short answer, yeah, it's still at its core Football Manager. It's still the most frustrating game when your team isn't doing anything, but it's still the most enjoyable game as you take your team to glory. And I think that's the essence of Football Manager. I can see why there's frustrations. I think it's brilliant, and for the amount of hours you're probably going to get out of it, even if you dislike the game, you're still going to play it. Like, let's be honest, and the amount of hours you're going to get out of Football Manager this year, definitely worth it. I wouldn't hesitate to buy it. Again, I can see why there are frustrations. I can see why people are up in arms about it. But if you want the honest truth, to sum Football Manager up in a sentence this year, it's solid foundations for great games in the future. And I think in order for you to appreciate how good those games are in the future, you've got to understand why this game lays those foundations. If you look at some of the screenshots for FM25, we're so much further on than that. So if that's the progress they've made in a year, I'm already looking forward to 27 and 28, but I'm also going to appreciate this game. I'm going to get hundreds of hours on this game. And I will get hundreds of hours on this game. I don't want to stop playing it. I'll wake up every morning and think, oh, I wonder how my Newcastle United save's going to go this year. That's the sort of thing that I'm doing. And I think if you take away from all the anger about all the change, people don't like change. We always knew this was going to be the reaction for Football Manager this year. But if you take just a second to go through the game, play a season of it, I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as a lot of reaction on social media will have you say. And that brings us to the wider point of bad reviews always get more press, because that's how algorithms work, that's how this, that and the other. So it would be very easy for me to make a video saying, don't buy FM, it is the worst game ever. That's not the case. As always, the truth is somewhere in the middle. So don't let one bad review or one great review put you off Football Manager. Don't let that stop you watching content on YouTube. Don't let that stop you enjoying the Football Manager community. I know that phrase has come in for a lot of grief recently, but don't let some negativity impact you from enjoying that, because at the end of the day, don't feel like because the overall or what some people are saying is that it's a bad game means that you have to think it's a bad game. I see all the negative press and I still think it's a pretty decent game. So I wouldn't get hung up in a couple of people's bad reviews of the game. But that is it. That's my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Whilst you're over there, hit subscribe as well. We'll bring you episode 3 of my Newcastle United save, I think on Wednesday. We'll see. I've got a busy couple of days coming up. Hopefully we'll bring that to you on Wednesday. Let me know what you think of Football Manager this year in the comments below, as I say, and hopefully I'll see you very soon.